good, sir. How are you?
Good.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being with me today. Do you know that free and fair elections are fundamental to our democratic process? And in the recent past, there has been 3 occasions where those who wanted to run for public office were called into question. The first was in Lake Wales, and as I understand, that gentleman withdrew from the election process for a city election. Then there was an event that we've all read about in the newspapers in Haines City where a funeral home director signed up to run for city commission and in fact won the race. But he was a convicted felon, and the courts had to remove him from office and replace him with the current sitting commissioner, who was the previous commissioner. Then I read in the local newspaper about Martin Grenfell, who had gone to the supervisor of elections office, filled out documents to run for County Commission District 1. This is a copy of the document that he filed. This document he falsified. So let me give you a rundown of what he did when he falsified the document in order to run for county commissioner. This started back in February of 2013, when he pled and was adjudicated a felon in federal court, and he was adjudicated a felon for trafficking in counterfeit labels. Page 4 of that plea agreement, among other things, it was about 40 pages long, said that he lost his right to run for public office. Now let's fast forward. Amendment 4 to the Florida Constitution changed and said that felons had a right to vote, and we all have been viewing the different court cases that's occurred around Amendment 4. But Amendment 4 does not address and does not allow you to hold office as a convicted felon. The clemency rules say that you cannot apply for clemency until 5 years after you're off of probation, which simply means that Martin Grenfell, who completed his probation for his felony conviction in 2016, would be eligible to apply for clemency in 21. In fact, it would be February 21st of 21. That's when he can apply for clemency, not when he's eligible to run for public office. Then the clemency would have to be granted, and after that, he would be allowed to run for public office. This is Martin Grenfell, the person who signed up and made a false swearing under oath to our supervisor of election. This is his filing, and this is what the pseudo candidate in oranges at the county jail looks like. So make no mistake about it. Honest, fair elections have to be the standard by which we operate not only in this county but around this state and nation. When I see a violation of the law, we're going to fully and completely investigate it, and that's what happened here. I woke up to the morning ledger and I read the details and I said to myself, that is a violation of Florida law. I came to the office that morning and I directed my chiefs to have our folks investigate to see if, in fact, what I was reading in the paper was accurate, and if, in fact, he was a convicted felon, and if, in fact, he really signed this document under oath, which is against the law, in fact, another third-degree felony to add to the third-degree felony he'd already pled to. Our detectives did a complete and thorough investigation. They talked to the supervisor of election, Lori Edwards, and her number 2 person, who actually, Barbara Ostoff, who was the person who took the oath according to law and took the oath according to law perfectly. Because an interesting point here, if you look at this, he came in with his name already on this, and Barbara refused to notarize the signature that was already on it. She made him re-sign the form in her presence. For someone wanting to run for public office, he was difficult to locate. We went to his alleged residence, which is located in District 1 of the county, and we couldn't find him there. So we've been looking for him since last Friday to talk to him. And ultimately, we made telephone contact with him, and he said, well, you give me questions if you want to talk to me, and I'll send them to my lawyer, and then we may talk to you. So we proceeded with our investigation. We took our probable cause to the state attorney's office. They approved a warrant. We had the courts issue a warrant for his arrest. And after 2 days of searching, where he really lives, I'm not sure. Maybe he lives at the residence, maybe he doesn't. We never could find him there. Doesn't mean he doesn't own it or rent it, but we couldn't find him there. He was arrested this afternoon, late this afternoon. Are there any questions?
Where was he?
He was arrested in Highland City, I think Central and 8th Street. We were conducting an investigation into his whereabouts, and he drove past us on the road, and we boxed him up and took him into custody.
So it was a track.
Ultimately, he did not obviously resist. He lawyered up, wanted to talk to his lawyer. We think that's a good thing. He needs a lawyer. We have witnesses, we have documents that clearly point out that he signed inappropriately and illegally a false statement under oath to run for a public office. You know, when you think about it, you expect your elected officials to be honest, to be ethical, to be moral. Certainly that's what we want out of them. Some of them fall short of that. This guy, you know, he didn't even get out of the paperwork process before he was operating in violation of the law. Who knows what kind of train wreck he would have been had he run for public office and by some chance got elected. That's not our concern. Our concern is whether or not he complies with the laws of the state of Florida to run for public office. And he didn't, and that's why he found himself locked up in the county jail. Any other questions?
Had he started any sort of campaigning?
I don't know. We didn't concern ourselves with that. We know that there has been follow-up articles in the local newspaper, the Ledger, where the county planned to file a civil lawsuit against him to keep him off the ballot because he falsified documents as well. But that's a different path by a different process that we don't concern ourselves with. The only thing we concern ourselves with is whether or not he filed this paper in violation of law, and clearly he did.
You said that he said he was going to forward the questions to his lawyer. Did your investigators ever talk to the lawyer?
We don't know. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
We did not talk to his lawyer. We're not absolutely sure who his lawyer is.
Okay.
He gave us a name, but once again, we didn't get that far because we didn't need to talk to his lawyer. He needed to talk to his lawyer.
Sheriff, the 2 people you referred to were Gregory Massey in Lake Wales and Claude Holmes in Haines City.
Yes, sir.
They signed a similar oath as Mr. Grenfell did. did you ever investigate them? Both cases were also written about in the ledger.
Those cases were as a result of city ordinances and city races. And certainly we leave the primary responsibility of that up to the city and obviously the elections officials.
Now, also.
But when it happened to the county,
Yeah, right.
the first one in the county, we dealt with it
Right.
effectively.
So you're saying this investigation was started completely by yourself, having read the articles in the ledger?
Absolutely.
Did you have any, did Mr. Lindsay, his opponent, or Michael Craig, the county attorney, play any role in this at all?
Neither of them asked me to conduct an investigation. I read it in the morning paper, and it was obvious that it appeared to be a violation to me. So neither the county commissioner nor the county attorney asked me, Sheriff, will you conduct an investigation? If they had have asked me, then I would have, because anyone can request a criminal investigation if they see a violation of law. I would have been more than happy to. But that's not what happened in this circumstances.
Did you even talk to them about this?
The detectives did not talk to him because really they have no role in whether or not he falsified this document.
Okay.
See, we dealt.
Did you talk to Craig or Lindsay?
I told Commissioner Lindsay after he was in handcuffs and arrested that we had conducted an investigation and found that there was probable cause for an arrest warrant and he was arrested. That's the first communication about this investigation that we had. And it's important that it stay that way because it's an ethical issue. Now, having said that, it would have been perfectly okay for the commissioner to pick the phone up or anyone else and say, Sheriff, I think there's a violation of law. Would you check into this? But he didn't do it. As I understand from reading the paper, that he went to the county attorney and said, is it appropriate? I mean, you know, this guy's running for office and he's a convicted felon and it appears that he's going to be on the ballot. And the commission, not the commission, but the county attorney was filing civil action on behalf of the county commission that alleged that he didn't have the right to hold public office.
Right, we got that.
But we didn't bog down in that because that's not what our investigation's about.
Okay.
I can tell you this, that if anybody in the future decides they want to run for public office in Polk County, it's a real good idea not to be a convicted felon. Because if you are and sign that document and you don't have the right to run for public office, I'm going to have someone investigate you, and if that circumstance turns out like this one, you too will go to jail. Anything else?
Just two things.
Ask me anything.
Okay.
It's not often, Kevin, that you and I get to interact
Right.
at a press conference, and
Right. Yeah.
and I thoroughly enjoy it.
Thank you. Even at a recent, Mr. Craig, the county attorney, at a recent county commission meeting, was asked this very thing by one of the commissioners: did he sign a false statement or not, and should that be looked into? And Mr. Craig responded that that there was an issue in the law about whether he knowingly signed a false statement. And
Yes.
that would be, now, was that at all part of your investigation, whether he knowingly?
Well, not from communication that the commissioners had with the county attorney. What our investigation was to determine, did he sign it and did he know? And we found signed documents both with the federal court
Yeah.
and locally that he signed this, understanding his plea, understanding his conditions of probation, and understanding the information that was before him. So yes, he knowingly signed documents associated with his plea agreement that he clearly knew he was a convicted felon, and that one of the civil rights that he lost as a result of his felony conviction was the right to hold public office.
Okay.
So yes, he knew it.
Being that he signed the federal statement saying you've lost your.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, the only other question I have is, you probably read in our stories that, Mr. Grenfell, has accused, the county attorney of working for George Lindsay. He's alleging there's all kinds of corruption in Polk County. I feel certain he's going to accuse you of working for George Lindsay, so do you want to address that?
Well, you know, I don't make it a habit of having a communication back and forth with felons, but I can clearly tell you that there was corruption, and he was the one being corrupt. You see with his document here. So the corruption that he uncovered was himself. Okay?
Okay.
And the rest of that, I'll leave that to the political process between Mr. Lindsay, our county commissioner, and him. I just deal with the law. Sure you don't have one more question?
I think that we're pretty good. If
Thank
I do, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, my friend. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.
Okay.